Hey, 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 happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, by the GamingGang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Thursday, September 11th, 2025. This is live stream 1235. If you're not overly familiar with this show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then normally we will actually take a peek at a game. Might unbox a board game. More often than not, I will actually take a peek at a role-playing game book, which we will be doing tonight. On occasion, I will tackle a topic related to our hobby, and once every blue moon, I share the news and then just chew the fat with chat. But tonight, I am going to be diving on in, taking a first look at the collector's edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay's High Elf Player's Guide from Cubicle 7 Games. So we actually have a little sheet that gives us the sell sheet info on the what you would normally see on the back of the book. I think it's just a piece of paper. So we are going to be diving on into this in just a bit. If you are tuning in live for the first look at the High Elf Player's Guide, let me inform you, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it's probably going to be about 35, probably 40 minutes or so before we get into that first look. So if you're watching live, kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. We'll get to it. Don't worry. Now, of course, if you're watching this after the fact, maybe even on Memorex, there will be timestamps. They are located down in the show notes. And depending on the device you might be watching this on, it could be right there in the timeline of the video. If you want to skip past the tabletop gaming news, get right on into that first look, you will be able to do so. Those show notes, they're usually finished with the timestamps about 30 minutes after the stream ends, thereabouts. So just letting you know. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. Come on, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live show, that means there is chat available. Now, you do have to be a subscriber to the channel for at least 60 minutes before you can take part in chat. But if you check that box off that you've essentially been a subscriber for at least an hour, you can jump on in, join us in chat. If you want to say howdy, maybe got a question, a comment, by all means, fire away. I will do my absolute best to respond. So first out the gate tonight is our good friend of the show, the Madman. Roger Perdome is with us, as is Kevin King, Semper Buffo, Kathy Evans, Lord Cost 2000, Beyond Fantasy is with us. It might be a first-time visit in chat. For some reason, that nickname's not necessarily ringing a bell. Then again, Beyond Fantasy might have been here 100 times. Be like, yeah, thanks a lot, Jeff. Can't remember me, huh? Well, someone I do remember is Runeforge Tabletop Gaming. They're also hanging with us tonight, as is Testy Trekkie. So chat is off and running already. Before we get on into the news, do want to mention today's date is not lost on me. Every year, I always think to myself, should I do a stream. And then I think to myself, you know what? Most people out there watch this show to escape from the bummer, which is real life out there, especially these days. So I thought, yes, of course, which I do every year. Every year I decide, yeah, you know what? Give the people what they want. No, I don't mean. It makes me feel better. It makes probably many of our viewers feel better as well. So keep in mind, September 11th, the anniversary 24 years ago, is not lost on me whatsoever. I can still remember exactly what was going on when I lived out in Arizona, the moment we found out what was happening. And I have mentioned it in the past. My brother was a flight attendant for United Airlines at the time, and he called to let my mom and myself know that he was okay. He was not on any of the hijacked planes. That was a weird hour before getting that call, I will say that. All right, so let's move on to more enjoyable topics. Let's dive on into the news, because arriving in October from Free League Publishing is Vaesen Mythic Carpathia. Here's the scoop. Venture into Mythic Carpathia to face vampires, Ruskaliks, Baba Yaga, and other even stranger horrors of Central and Eastern European folklore. Wander the busy streets of Prague, where history and myths collide. Visit old cities, deep forests, and high mountains to face creatures beyond belief. This beautifully illustrated hardback expansion to the award-winning Vaesen Nordic horror role-playing includes information about the Carpathia branch of the society, a gazetteer of the city of Prague, a chapter with local Vaesen, and 3 complete mysteries to play. Mythic Carpathia is illustrated by the acclaimed artists Johan Egerkrans, Anton Vitus, and Francesca Berald. And I hopefully came close to pronouncing those names correctly. Fingers crossed. The book does include information about the Slavic society called Pravda, its founders and headquarters in Prague. The new archetype vampire hunter, a chapter detailing no fewer than 16 local mythical beings, each with background, stats, and story seeds. This includes the vampire, the golem, and the infamous Baba Yaga, and many more. 3 complete mysteries to play, set in Prague, Ukraine, and Transylvania. I wonder, could that be a vampire mystery? I can think it probably was. Probably was. There's even a large separate full-color map of Mythic Carpathia, as well as the city of Prague. The 135-page hardcover with PDF will carry an MSRP of $44.99 when it arrives on October 28th. Man, that is cutting it close to Halloween. I tell you. I'm going to guess the PDF should be available right around that time over at DriveThruRPG. I figure it'll probably be $22.99. I like Vaesen. I think it's a cool role-playing game. It is relatively rules light. I think it makes for, I would think, pretty satisfying short campaigns. I don't know. I have reviewed it. I've reviewed everything that's come out for it to this point, and have to say I have given a positive review to each and every one. Although I have to say, it's Mythic Britain and the UK was good, but it could have been a hell of a lot better. It was just little bite-sized nuggets of information that a lot of people are probably already very familiar with. But still, I'm just really surprised that this is coming out so close to Halloween. This happened last time Free League Publishing had a wave of Vaesen releases. And if I remember correctly, I think they came out in November of that year, completely missing Halloween. I would have liked to have seen this getting released maybe the first week of October, because then I would give game masters a chance to pick this up and get ready to run some stuff for Halloween. I will also mention that the core rulebook for Vesson is getting a new print run, because I believe it is out of print as of right now. So I believe that's also going to land in stores on October 28th. Let's see. We've got a few more people popping on into chat. We have got Walona's Cave. Yes, Walona's Cave is with us, as is Shozama85. I think I said hello to Testy Trekkie already. Very nice. Very nice. And Beyond Fantasy says they've heard a lot of good things about Vesson. By all means, check out my reviews. I give you, the straight up dope on everything. Unvarnished for the most part. Walona's Cave says the solo rules for Vesson are pretty good as well. That I have not really dug too deeply into. All right, moving right along. Currently up for crowdfunding for Black Book Editions and Catalyst Game Labs is Shadowrun Anarchy 2.0. Here's the latest. Fortune favors the bold if they live long enough. The year is 2084. Our world is ruled by ruthless megacorps who have succeeded in turning what's left of nation states into their puppets. Well, that's hitting pretty close to home. Known as the Sixth World, magic has returned and exists alongside technological advancements such as cybernetic implants and the ubiquitous information network that is the Matrix. No relation to, the movies. And yeah, there's dragons too. Living alongside humans are orcs, elves, trolls, and dwarfs, each of them trying to scrape by in high-tech yet poverty-stricken sprawls, riddled with rampant inequality and plagued by gang violence, crazed Matrix code slingers causing mayhem online, and the occasional critter going on a rampage. Set against the Sixth World's bleak, neon-lit streets, Anarchy 2.0 focuses on freelance operatives known as Shadowrunners, hired to do the corpse dirty work, all the while maintaining plausible deniability for their employer. Some of those Shadowrunners are just in it for the money. Some do it for the kicks, while others are neo-anarchist idealists who want to stick it to the man. There is a short Kickstarter video. It's about a minute in length. So let's give it a peek.
Seattle, 2084 AD. Megacorps rule the world. Shadowrunners rule the streets. Welcome to the Sixth World, Jammers.
The Kickstarter is nearing the $250,000 mark. Yeah, you heard that correctly. You can reserve a copy of the hardcover core book with Game Master's screen. It's an added bonus right now for a pledge of approximately $59. If you want to grab just the PDF, you can do so for a pledge of approximately $36 through September 25th. Expected delivery for the PDF is going to be February. The physical book will follow in June. Kevin R. Smith is joining us in chat, asking if this is a new edition of Shadowrun. Kevin King was asking kind of a same sort of question. Is this a fix for Shadowrun 6e, or does it use that rule set? Yeah, I like the setting of Shadowrun. I picked up the first edition of Shadowrun. I picked up a bunch of the splats when it first came out. I thought it was really cool. I never ran it. Yes, it was another one of those role-playing games that I would be at the hobby shop, be at usually it was Emperor's headquarters. Sometimes there's a place called Gamer's Paradise. And it'd be like, oh, hey, there's a new book out. I'm going to buy that. And I would read it and I would enjoy it. And I'd go, boy, sure would be nice to try to run this. And I would ask the gang, hey, you know what? You guys want to? No, we want Call Cthulhu, man. That's all we want. It's like, okay, all right. Okay. But I always like checking it out. The lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is with us tonight. She is another of our chat moderators. Yes, I forgot to say hello at the start of the show, like I normally do. It's just been another weirdo day. What can I tell you? I'm actually, sometimes it's like, oh, thank goodness the stream is going to start in a little bit. I can escape reality for like 90 minutes or so. So yes, sorry I forgot to say hello to Miss Sarah D, she of the glittery banhammer lurking in the shadows. So we've got both of our chat moderators with us this evening. Okay, so to answer that question, right? As far as, is this a new rule set? This is my understanding. So there already is Shadowrun Anarchy. I am not familiar with it whatsoever. It is my understanding that it is far less rules intensive than Shadowrun 6e. And I gotta say, where the main issues arise with people's dissatisfaction with the current edition of Shadowrun is mostly in its rules. And I remember when I reviewed the starter set, the fine folks over at Catalyst Game Labs were kind enough. I was at Origins that year, and I thought it was a mess. It was just a hot mess. So yes, Tessie Trekkie points out this is a revision of Shadowrun Anarchy, thus being called Shadowrun Anarchy 2.0. So my understanding is this is more of a narrative-driven role-playing game as opposed to chucking tons of dice. Like I said, I am not aware of what Shadowrun Anarchy is like in its current state. Gotta say, like I pointed out, I've always dug the setting of Shadowrun. I've always thought it was pretty cool. Get away from that mess of rules. Oh, could be pretty awesome. Could be. I don't know. I do not know, but I am sharing the news, and a lot of people have backed this. That's why it is past the $250,000 mark. Beyond Fantasy says, Shadowrun Anarchy, narrative-based rules. Yay! All right, on to our next news piece. So there is a collection of Dungeon Crawl Classics horror adventures, which is good to go for Halloween. You could pick it up right now. That's right. I'm talking about Dungeon Crawl Classics Tome of Adventure, Volume 5, Horror. Here's a lowdown on that collection. 9 spine-tingling Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game adventures in one volume. Tome of Adventure Volume 5 collects adventures written by acclaimed authors Brendan LaSalle, Michael Curtis, Stephen Newton, and Bob Brinkman. What? No Harley? No Harley Stroh? It's another name I always associate with Dungeon Crawl Classics. Features the stunning artwork of Doug Kovacs, William McCausland, Peter Mullen, Brad McDevitt, Stefan Pogue, and others. Inside this book, you'll find They Served Brandolin Red, Creep, Scrag, Creep, The Gobbler's Witch's Harvest, Shadow Under Devil's Reef, The Corpse That Love Built, It Consumes, Night of the Bog Beast, The Web of All Torment, and The Sinister Sutures of the Seamstress. And these range in levels from 0, in fact, we've got 3 level, all the way up to level 6, which is The Sinister Sutures of the Seamstress. Creaking stairs, rattling change, and sheet draped. Did I say sheep? Sounded like I said sheep. Yes, sheep draped ghosts. Bah! I know I was saying sheet. Maybe to me in my head, it sounded like I said sheep. Let's start from scratch on that. Creaking stairs, rattling chains, and sheet-draped ghosts. Step aside. There's a new scary in town. Tome of Adventure Volume 5 Horror is an anthology of the DCC Horror Line's collection of blood-curdling adventures, all in one eerie tome. It contains DCC Horror 1 through 8, plus the horrific The Gobbler Witch's Harvest. So this is one book that's going to keep you up at night. The 172-page hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $59.99. If you want to grab just the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $41.99. Yes, you heard that price correct about the PDF. And that's sort of how Goodman Games usually prices their PDFs. Their PDFs tend to be about 65% of the print price. But that's normally when we're talking about like individual softcover 20, 30-page adventures. I got to say, it seems kind of weird. $60 hardcover, the PDF is $42. But still, it is packed with 9 adventures. And come on, it's Dungeon Crawl Classics. I dig Dungeon Crawl Classics. I actually shared years ago a written review of The Corpse That Love Built. I liked it. I thought it was cool. That was a good, creepy story. Tessie Trekkie is pointing out that Shadowrun Anarchy does make the game more streamlined. You never change your dice pools by skill. You simply choose how much risk you take, with more risk dice having more chances for high success and high fuck-ups. Kevin R. Smith says Shadowrun Anarchy is published by another company, so having Catalyst not involved might help in terms of the rules. Catalyst is involved. It is Catalyst Game Labs and Black Book Editions, if I remember correctly, is the title of the French company. But Catalyst Game Labs is at least on the trade dress. So there's that. Beyond Fantasy says Dungeon Crawl Classics is always a goodie. They love its magic system as both a player and a game master. Plus, it uses weird dice. Yes, the good old Zaki dice. Moonride Long. Another item that caught my eye, which is currently up for crowdfunding over on Kickstarter, is One Shot Wonders Volume 2 from Roll and Press Play. Here's what I know. One Shot Wonders Volume 2 takes everything people loved about the first book and expands it in every way. This Kickstarter campaign is bigger and more ambitious than anything that Roll and Press Play has done before. Over 100 brand new 2-page one-shots covering every environment your players could explore from Arctic to desert. Each chapter ends with a high-level legendary adventure, the kind of story your group will talk about for years. Survive an arcane blizzard in the Arctic, sail with a Ginny smuggling crew on the coast, Win a camel jousting tournament in the desert. Fight off werebears at an elven forest campsite. Look for sabotage in a caved-in underground mine. Tame air elementals in the mountains. Explore a mimic-infested urban tavern, and so much more. Every adventure also comes with a themed keyword to help you pick the right vibe for your table. Adventurous, spooky, thrilling, lighthearted, or mysterious. Whether your group is in the mood for laughs, scares, or a classic quest, you'll know at a glance which one-shot to grab. Now, there is a Kickstarter video. It is a couple of minutes in length, so let's give it a look.
Game Masters, your favorite shortcut to unforgettable D&D adventures is back. One Shot Wonders, the best-selling, multi-award-winning collection that saved you hours of prep, returns with Volume 2. With over 100 brand new one-shots and stunning original art, Volume 2 gives you even more adventures ready to drop straight into your campaign, and you don't want to miss it. Each adventure fits on 2 pages or less, with NPCs, rewards, flavor text, and story structure laid out clearly. Get ready to investigate a ruined mine, survive an arcane blizzard, explore a city tavern crawling with mimics, board the ship of a famous genie smuggling crew, compete in a prestigious camel jousting tournament, fight off werebears at an elven forest campsite, tame air elementals in the mountains, and that is just the start. For the first time, you'll journey into the eerie Shadow Realm's bleak landscapes, or step into the Fey Realm, a place of glittering forests and mischievous spirits. These 2 chapters are brand new for Volume 2, and it doesn't stop there. The award-winning map library is also expanding. Over 30 new maps plus reusable stickers to customize your battles like never before. We are the creators of any award winners, One Shot Wonders, and the map library, and the excitement for the sequels has been incredible.
One Shot Wonders by Roll and Play Press. The map library, Roll and Play Press.
This is your chance to join thousands of game masters who have cut out the stress from prepping a D&D game. Back One Shot Wonders Volume 2 on Kickstarter today to unlock exclusive rewards, like first edition stamps and even your name in the back of the book. I'll see you there.
The Kickstarter project for One Shot Wonders Volume 2 has passed the $360,000 funding mark. And we got some big money Kickstarters I'm talking about tonight. You can reserve a copy of this new volume in hardcover with PDF for a pledge of approximately $55. If you want to grab just the PDF, you can do so for a pledge of approximately $34 through October 9th. Expected delivery on the PDF is October of 2026. The actual physical book is expected to follow in November of 2026. I should also point out, there are pledge levels for you to get the first volume of One Shot Wonders, as well as a bunch of other goodies that are tied into this as well. So just because I gave you the pledge levels for the physical book and the PDF doesn't mean that's all there is for you to take a peek at. Gotta say, this looks kind of cool. I like the artwork. The artwork is very, very solid, I must say. So Beyond Fantasy was asking what is MCC, and Kevin King kindly pointed out it is Mutant Crawl Classics, and Beyond Fantasy's curious about it. I've got a review of that as well. So I will tell you, I like Dungeon Crawl Classics a lot better than Mutant Crawl Classics. Personally, I think Mutant Crawl Classics is a little too trimmed. So it's got to be at least 150 pages shorter than Dungeon Crawl Classics. But I mean, it's still cool. All right, let's hit our final news piece. The popular Mothership First Edition setting Cloud Empress has a new supplement out Here's what I know about the Land of the Dead. Expand your journey into an expansive, any award-winning Nausicaa-inspired fantasy campaign setting ruled by giant magic cicadas using the Mothership science fiction horror role-playing first edition compatible Panic Engine. Travel through the Land of the Dead, biomes littered with ash and bone from the fall of a cloud city. Cloud Empress Land of the Dead requires the free Cloud Empress rulebook to play. Yes, you heard that correctly. Cloud Empress is absolutely free in PDF. Land of the Dead introduces the Cloud Empress adventure Labyrinth of the Bride by acclaimed guest author Kiana Shaw. This includes 3 unique biomes of death and destruction, 91 hexes to explore during the aftermath of Bravo City's fall from the sky, 36 random encounters, 9 animals, friends, and foes, 28 detailed NPCs, 8 crests, 30 spells, 11 relics and slip stuff, 7 clothes, 4 tools of violence, 25 rumors, 57 illustrations, and 1 missing Cloud Empress, and much more. The 104-page PDF is available over at DriveThruRPG for $11.99. I should also mention that Worlds by Watt, who is the creator of Cloud Empress, has the physical volumes of both Land of the Living and Land of the Dead. I believe it's a slipcase set. And they did Kickstarter it. I think they are taking pre-orders for it. I'm not positive, but I think they're either now taking pre-orders or they're just about to take pre-orders. Kind of cool. I'd be curious to dip my toes into Cloud Empress because I have heard good things about it. And remember, rulebook absolutely free. So I think it's kind of a bit of a science fantasy vibe, I do believe. Once again, I have not had an opportunity to take a peek. Tessie Trekkie says Cloud Empress is very much driven by Mothership 1E, but it's absolutely not a pure horror game like Mothership. Now, I didn't think it was like a horror survival game. To me, I think it's more, to at least from what I've seen, especially the artwork and kind of the information about the setting, it sort of feels like it's almost like a 70s French animation vibe, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Could be. Tessie Draghi says the Kickstarter is getting ready to be shipped because they backed it. And they got all the PDFs last night, and it's shiny. Cool. Like I said, sounds pretty interesting. Thus, the news piece. And that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I've mentioned DriveThruRPG a few times. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to stop by DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way it'll activate our affiliate code. Any purchase you make on any of the One Bookshelf sites, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are a couple other ways that you can help support the outlet. First, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Ooh, that's bubbly. Oh my. I used to do a pretty good George Takei Not anymore. Sorry, folks. Sorry, George. And of course, you can also become a monthly member of our Patreon. And I like to give all of our Patreon members a shout out on every live show. So big thank you to Gustavo Cavallo, Jason Lawman, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Sharon O'Donnell, Talzek, Matt W., Dan Webb, GameCat, Pete Strakulich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, Tier 2 DM, Agile Monk, and The Madman. Also keep in mind, we do have a Discord server. So you will find info about the PayPal and Patreon and such in our show notes. You'll also find an invite link to our Discord server down in those show notes. It is absolutely free for you to join. And there is a special members only area for our Patreon members, but there's loads going on that you don't have to worry about being a member of anything outside of just the Discord server. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. So tonight we're going to dive on in. We're going to be taking a look at the collector's edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay's High Elf Player's Guide from Cubicle 7 Games. In just a little bit, there was something I wanted to mention because I actually brought it up on last night's show. And then we got past the news, and then there was some other topic that we got onto, and I forgot to get back to what I had mentioned previously. I did not realize that Fantasy Games Unlimited is back. Now, I know in the past I've talked about one of my favorite role-playing games out there that you really couldn't get anymore was Bushido. And that was an FGU game, as was Aftermath. That was another one that was fairly popular. There was Space Opera. They did a good amount of role-playing games. And I know somebody had mentioned in chat one night that, well, you know, you can still get the PDF of Bushido. It's just the 3 books that were in the box are just as one book. I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. So as I was putting together some news yesterday, I saw there was a new adventure for Aftermath. And I was like, I took a peek and I was like, so is this just a third party or something? I was like, okay, let's take a peek. And here it was, Fantasy Games Unlimited. I was like, what? So I went, took a peek. This was on, DriveThruRPG. And I'll be damned, there were new adventures. It looked like maybe only 4 Aftermath. I didn't dig too deeply. So then I went over to their website, and they actually have physical books that you can order. I was like, that's pretty cool. So like Bushido is $20. I assume it is a softcover book because I could have swore at some point Bushido was available as a softcover book that collected everything from the little box set. Kevin R. Smith says FGU is back as a functioning company, not just as the founder trying to horn in on new editions of the old games. I don't know. I mean, it's a functioning company. There is new content coming out from them. I do not know what the circumstances are. I don't know who's behind the scenes or anything like that. I thought, maybe I should reach out because I go way back with FGU. Now, granted, we didn't play a ton. I remember we rolled up characters for Aftermath. If you watch the show, from time to time, I reminisce about these game weekends they had at this community center in a suburb right next to Chicago. And when we were in high school, we went to a few of them. and they had a game group, and we went a few times. It was like every other Saturday. And one of the times we went, everybody rolled up Aftermath characters with the rest of this group. And of course, never played. It was like, yeah, okay. You know how that goes, right? But I had not all, I had a lot of the Fantasy Games Unlimited releases that came out. So I'd be kind of curious. I would maybe even look to do an interview with the folks over at FGU. Find out. Maybe learn a little bit more. All right. So we're going to be diving on in to look at that High Elf Player's Guide in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Hungry? Thirsty? The snack bar is open. There's hot, fresh, delicious popcorn. And it's even better with butter. You'll also find refreshing ice-cold soft drinks. And your favorite candy, too. So we invite you to visit the snack bar at your convenience.
The best candy on earth comes from Mars, Milky Way.
Hey, diddle, diddle, there's milk in its middle. Milk in its chocolate, too. There's so much milk in the Milky Way, you can almost hear it.
Wholesome and good. That's Milky Way. And the reason is right in the name, milk. Each year, millions of gallons of fresh milk, the kind you drink, go into Milky Way candy bars. There's milk in the creamy nougat and in the pure milk chocolate. Mighty milky, mighty good, Milky Way.
There's so much milk in the Milky Way, you can almost hear it.
The best candy on earth comes from Mars.
Darling, if I marry you, will you keep me in Wilkins coffee?
Boy, will this be a soggy romance.
Snow, rain, mud. Your car's bound to get dirty.
So give your car a car wash, make it look like new. Watch it in the car wash that lets you see right through. Mr. Kelly's car wash, that's the one for me. Hey, Mr. Kelly, wax it beautifully. Drive up the ramp, hook the chain, it runs by battery. Clean, scrubs, and dries your car automatically.
Mr. Kelly's automatic car wash. What a toy! From a hidden tank, fill overhead water tower, hook on car, throw switch, and automatically cars are wet down, scrubbed all over, and dried while you watch. Mr. Kelly's car wash comes with 2 late model cars, car wax, towels, sponges, and even a sign.
Hey, Mr. Kelly, clean my car like new. Mr. Kelly's car wash lets you wax them too.
Every boy wants a Remco toy, and so do girls.
Mr. Kelly's car wash, that's the one for me.
For 10 centuries it has waited to be awakened, to be worshipped again like a god, to fill the skies, to cast its shadow over the earth. Today in New York City, the winged serpent rises. The winged serpent rules. David Carradine, Michael Moriarty, Richard Roundtree, Candy Clark.
What are you going to do if someone dies tomorrow?
Man against the fantastic flying forces of a lost age.
Feel like saying a prayer?
Man against the winged serpent. Today in New York City, the winged serpent rules. The legend has come alive.
I have to laugh because WForge Q pointing out the stop motion was horrible. The movie is great. You know, if you took John Carradine and added in David Carradine, all of their movies, oh my gosh. I can't imagine. That would be one hell of a list of credits. Now, I'm not saying that they're good movies. I'm just saying there are a hell of a lot of them. Yes. All right. So tonight we are going to be diving on in and taking a first look at the collector's edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay's High Elf Player's Guide from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games. This 144-page hardcover with PDF is available now. Carries an MSRP of $39.99. You get that free PDF if you order from Cubicle 7 Games. If you want to grab just the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. We are taking a look at the collector's edition. It does carry an MSRP of $79.99. Let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the collector's edition of the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay High Elf Player's Guide. First thing I'm going to do is take the shrink wrap off. So this has a faux leather cover. Yes. All right, come on, shrink wrap, get off of there. And that is our info from the back of the book, which I'll actually read a little bit of in just a moment. But as you can see, this is, it's got kind of a metallic emboss on it. That's kind of cool. It is receded too. That's pretty wild. A few things to mention before we get stuck in. First of all, my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a good feel for what you're going to find inside. And of course, the content inside doesn't matter if it's a collector's edition, standard edition, it is going to be the same. So let's take a peek here. So yes, it says it's wrapped in luxurious blue faux leather. A guide to the people, lands, and cultures of Ulthian. High elves' acute senses, athletic grace, perceptive minds, and long lives provide them with many natural advantages over the humans of the old world. Their potential to achieve mastery in the fields of swordsmanship, archery, and magic contributes to their attitude of superiority. Among the challenges they face are the need to carefully control their emotions and to keep ahead of the latest intrigues in the courts of Ulthuan. I got to be honest, I'm not sure about the pronunciation. The High Elf Player's Guide is the ultimate guide to creating and playing, you guessed it, high elf characters in a Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. And then it tells us what's inside the book, but we're going to take a peek ourselves. First thing we'll do is take a peek at the credits page. That's pretty cool. I like this. This is the cover artwork for the standard edition right here. All right. So here's the credits. Let's give credit where credit is due. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. Sections are broken down into the Defenders of Order, Azer Society, High Elf Characters, High Magic, High Elf Religion, and then Intrigues. The High Elves, called the Azure in their own tongue, are among the oldest, proudest, and grandest civilizations in the known world. Gifted in life's pursuits, their society is a beacon of knowledge, culture, art, and military excellence. In a world threatened by malefic powers, the High Elves stand as the world's foremost defense against chaos. Nice. So I will say, paper stock, very solid here. This, of course, does have a stitched binding. This is going to be giving us information about the High Elves. Their place in the world. Looks like we get a little bit of fiction. High Elf society is structured around precedent and ceremony to mitigate the elven tendency to become fixated on slights or preoccupied with interests. Being fixated on slights. You mean like the dwarfs in the old world with their grudges? Their martial history influences a culture that respects rank, honor, and discipline. Etiquette involves greeting protocol, formalities of touch, and expressions of courtesy. Blessed with sharp minds and senses, High Elves employ subtleties of speech and gestures that can leave less rarefied folk baffled. Their superior attitudes have contributed to misunderstandings, even conflicts with humans and dwarfs. So, talking about some High Elf houses. High Elf outposts. Thousands of years ago, the High Elves established colonies around the known world. Hundreds have fallen to war or disaster, but several remain. I really enjoy Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I like the setting. I like the attitude that the role-playing game has. It doesn't always take itself too seriously. I always get a kick out of how the player characters are usually starting off as nobodies. They stumble across a lot of stuff and people don't believe them because they're nobodies. And then nobility tends to be jackasses. Very cool. All right. So some information about herbs and elven markets, enchanted items, the importance of trade. Just over 400 years ago, the High Elves opened relations with the wider world. With change came a surge of trading activity as elves saw an opportunity to further their own standing on Ulthian, and non-elves sought to acquire the produce of an almost mythical land. The Azure do not depend on goods from other species, yet they value rarities such as silk from Grand Cathay and dwarf clockwork for their scarcity and fine quality. Owning these goods can bring the owner considerable standing amongst their fellow High Elves. Here we go. Now we're getting into the characters. So just like we saw with the dwarf player's guide, we're going to have a bunch of new options for elf characters, High Elf characters. There we go, our bookmark there. Playing a High Elf. Elves are intelligent, elegant, swift, and adept. Their characteristics reflect a very real advantage over many of the other species they encounter, which can make them arrogant, insufferable company. Of course, your character is your own to play as you see fit. What follows is advice for adding nuance to High Elves and hopefully create more enjoyment in your interactions with fellow PCs and NPCs during your game. So, of course, beyond the stereotype, we will normally see a bunch of new careers, obsessions, and elves' senses and emotions are more receptive than those of other species, and their experience is more deeply felt. This makes them prone to obsession as they fixate intensely on preferred pursuits. Of course, there are negative effects of obsession. There's benefits as well to obsessions. The Elders of the Azure. We have sea elf characters, high elves from the inner kingdoms, outer kingdoms. Here we go. Now we've got our careers. Looks like we have 8 new ones. And then we also have adapting careers. High elves on Ulthian practice careers a little differently to those outlined in the WFRP rulebook. The following advice provides background and small adaptations to make rulebook careers more appropriate for Azure culture. As ever, it's best to discuss character ideas with the GM. So we've got Sea Guard. The Sea Guard are among the oldest military traditions, formed when the elves first explored the world. They are a formidable force embodying the union of martial prowess and mastery over the seas. There's a sword master. We get information about the Way of the Warrior, Shadow Warrior, Merchant Adventurer, Aestheticist. There you go. Then we get into high magic. The esoteric lore of high magic is an advanced technique that combines all 8 winds of magic in harmony, allowing practitioners to craft wondrous spells with pure magic. In the ancient past, the energy now known as high magic was called, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Troy Cornelson's with us in chat. Good to see you. Chris Lundgren's popping on in. Welcome to you both. So we have new magic spells. So we got petty magic spells such as Bless Arrow, Green Finger, bum, 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 da, 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 da. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was gold. Nope. We have Reveal Magic, Enchant Plants, Speak with Animal, Voice of Iron. Then we have high magic skills and talents. The lore of high magic. So these are more spells. They look like they're more powerful spells. Then we have high elf religion. I got to say, the artwork throughout this looks really cool. And then, of course, looks like they sneak in a new career here. It is the mage. All right. So, it looks like Chris Lundgren saying that they were late getting on board because they were visiting a friend in the hospital. Well, a speedy recovery. Wishes for a speedy recovery for your friend, Chris. So we're going to get into the various different deities here. Hey, look at that. Squeezing in another career. I remember that with the dwarf book. And I think the Winds of Magic book, as well as the, gosh, now I can't remember the title of it. The one that's focused on martial careers. Kind of did that too. You had a section with a lot of careers, and then you'd see them, you know, here's one over here, here's one over there. It's kind of cool. Because the careers were shared in areas of the book that were relevant to that career. Speaking of, here's another one, Stormweaver. Stormweavers often serve as senior chaplains for Ulthian's navies, often aboard ships from Lothairn and Kothik. Elves from the other kingdoms pay tribute to... Yes, see, now we're getting into the... unpronounceable words or stuff that I just don't know how to pronounce. The Mathlin, but they tend to fear the mercurial stormweavers for their ability to summon his wrath at their whim. Well. We have Lore Master. All in all, looks like we probably have 13, 14 new careers in this book. The Pleasure Cults. So that would be Slaanesh. Says elves are especially vulnerable to corruption by, there you go, Slaanesh. On a basic spiritual level, elves crave the joy and sensory stimulation that Slaanesh promises. High elves acknowledge this weakness of their species and take extreme measures to protect their souls from the Dark Prince. Pleasure cults are outlawed, and special funeral rites are performed to deliver the deceased from the 6 circles of seduction. Looks like a little bit of discussion about the influence of chaos, I guess, on the elves. Then we finish up with intrigues. In the echoing marbled corridors, secluded arbors, and verdant hunting grounds of Ulthian, a multitude of factions scheme to advance their interests. Some are highly organized groups with their own hierarchies and rituals. Others are informal, temporary alliances, drifting into fleeting existence as opportunity and necessity dictate. Ooh, nice. So some intrigues in the elven courts. Oh, there's rules for using leverage to get what you want. That's kind of cool. All right. Then we have some random tables for complications to the intrigues. Here's our index. And that is going to wrap up a look inside the collector's edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay's High Elf Player's Guide from Cubicle 7 Games. Once again, this collector's edition carries an MSRP of $79.99. You want just the standard edition, that carries an MSRP of $39.99. And of course, you can score the PDF over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. And my good buddy T.S. Lucart is joining us just as we're wrapping up. Yes, it is Volnus. That is T.S. Good to see you, T.S. Talking about the collector's edition. I was kind of surprised that I received the collector's edition. I usually don't. Although I will point out the Doctor Who role-playing game I have the collector's edition of. But I was like, okay, cool. Nice. So there you have it. And of course, I will have a review of the High Elf Player's Guide in the not too distant future. So what's cooking next week? Well, I believe we are going to start off with a look inside Untamed Worlds from Osprey Games. So I believe this is what we're going to take a look at on Tuesday. And then I think we'll play it by ear. Now, over the weekend, stay tuned because I will have more first look videos. I'm going to try to get a couple of reviews out. One of them being the starter set for Dungeons and Dragons, Heroes of the Borderlands. I started digging into it last night, started reading it. I should be able to rock out the rest of it and have that review for you this weekend. So you will know what I think about it before it arrives in stores. So there is that. And there are a couple other things I'm almost finished reading through that I can get some reviews out there for. There are going to be a lot of videos. Lots of videos on the horizon, so stay tuned. Chris Langner says, furries in space. I'm open-minded. It's different. This really isn't furries in space. This is more kind of like uplifted animals who are expendables, who are sent out to protect humanity because, nobody cares. Nobody cares about them. It's kind of the vibe I've got. So we'll see. We'll find out. But that's what we're going to take a look at on Tuesday's show. I had a bunch of stuff show up. I just got a couple of games from Rebellion Unplugged. I got Joyride, and I also got Elite Sniper, the board game. So I'll have first look videos of those. We might actually take a peek at Joyride live on the show. So TS says, yes, that's a correct vibe. So, yep, that's what I figured. All righty then. That is it for this time out. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap. Because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company as I'm sharing the news or flipping through a book, unboxing a board game, what have you. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. I really do appreciate you taking time out to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the channel. 2,300 plus. Yowza. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only, so it's not only supposed to notify you when the dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It's also supposed to inform you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Call of Cthulhu, the Sutra of Pale Leaves, Carcosa Manifest from Sons of the Singularity and Chaosium Inc. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. I will be back on Tuesday. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And as always, I certainly hope every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.